I used to believe that vision faded quietly, almost politely, as people grew older. That was the story I heard most often. Blurry letters on a page, headlights stretching into halos at night, colors becoming softer with time. But the more I listened to people living with diabetes, the more I realized that what many call normal aging is sometimes something else entirely. It's a slow shift that happens in silence, a change you barely notice until one day you stop recognizing a face across the room, or you hesitate before driving at night. That realization pulled me into an investigation that felt deeply personal, because vision is not just about seeing, it's about independence, confidence, and connection to the world. As I began to explore this subject more seriously, I followed the explanations of Dr. Ethan Walker, whose work focuses on the relationship between nutrition and eye health. Listening to him changed the way I understood diabetic eye disease. He never framed the conversation around fear or miracle promises. Instead, he described it like a puzzle, small biological processes happening over time, each one understandable, each one influenced by the decisions we make every day. Through that lens, I started to see diabetic retinopathy not as a sudden event, but as a gradual story unfolding inside the eye long before symptoms feel serious. What struck me most was how many people assume blurred vision is just fatigue or age. But diabetic retinopathy doesn't announce itself loudly. It can develop without pain, without obvious warning, while tiny blood vessels in the retina begin to weaken. Those vessels are fragile, responsible for feeding one of the most important tissues in the human body, the layer that transforms light into the images that shape our reality. When glucose levels remain high for long periods, those vessels can leak or become damaged, creating subtle distortions that slowly reshape how the world looks. I remember thinking about the emotional side of this more than the clinical terms. The fear of losing independence, the quiet anxiety of needing brighter light to read, the hesitation before climbing stairs because the edges feel less clear. I imagined what it means to stop recognizing faces instantly, or to worry that each year brings a little more blur. These are not just symptoms. They are experiences that affect how a person moves through life. And as Dr. Ethan Walker often emphasizes, understanding the mechanism behind that fear is the first step toward reducing it. The goal of this journey was never to promise a cure, or to suggest that a single nutrient could reverse everything. Instead, I wanted to understand what science actually says about supporting the retina and protecting it from further damage. The question that kept echoing in my mind was simple: can a vitamin really help diabetic retinopathy? The answer, I discovered, is more nuanced and more hopeful than many people expect. Before diving deeper, I want to pause for a moment and say something important. For those who want to understand better how to improve vision, reduce blurred sight, and discover habits that support eye health long-term, we left a complete guide in the first link in the description. It expands naturally on everything we are discussing here. I mention this because information becomes powerful only when it turns into daily action, and many people ask for practical guidance after learning the science. As I continued studying, one idea kept resurfacing: inflammation and oxidative stress. Excess glucose in the bloodstream doesn't just float harmlessly. It creates chemical reactions that stress delicate tissues, especially in the eyes. Over time, this stress can damage cells and weaken the protective structures that keep the retina healthy. Dr. Ethan Walker explains this in a way that feels almost visual itself. Imagine the retina as a living landscape constantly exposed to light and metabolic activity. Without enough protection, that environment becomes vulnerable. That's where nutrition enters the conversation, not as a magical fix, but as a layer of defense. Researchers have spent years studying antioxidants and vitamins that may help protect retinal cells from oxidative damage. The more I read, the clearer it became that scientists aren't searching for one miracle nutrient. They're looking at combinations that support the eye's natural resilience. Vitamin A was one of the first pieces of the puzzle I understood. It plays a crucial role in how the eye converts light into signals the brain can interpret. Without it, night vision suffers and overall visual function declines. But vitamin A works alongside other nutrients. Vitamin C, for example, acts as a strong antioxidant, helping neutralize free radicals that can damage cells. Vitamin E provides another protective layer, stabilizing cell membranes and helping the retina withstand stress. Zinc appears repeatedly in studies because it supports enzymatic processes linked to retinal function, acting almost like a silent partner that helps other vitamins do their jobs. Then there are lutein and zeaxanthin, pigments naturally found in the eye. Learning about them felt like discovering a built-in shield I never knew existed. They help filter high-energy blue light and protect the macula, the area responsible for sharp central vision. Some researchers describe them as nature's sunglasses, an elegant metaphor that helped me understand why diet and supplementation are so frequently discussed in eye health conversations. Beyond those, I encountered growing discussions around alpha-lipoic acid and omega-3 fatty acids. These compounds are often explored for their anti-inflammatory properties and potential support for vascular health, which matters deeply when we talk about diabetic retinopathy. Again, Dr. Ethan Walker consistently reminds viewers that these nutrients are not substitutes for medical treatment or glucose control. They are supportive tools, part of a broader strategy that includes monitoring blood sugar, regular eye exams, and lifestyle adjustments. As I reflected on all this information, the question from the beginning began to reshape itself. It wasn't really about whether one vitamin could fix diabetic retinopathy. It was about whether informed nutritional choices could help create an environment where the eyes are better protected, where progression might be slowed, where resilience increases, and the evidence suggests that when combined with healthy habits and medical guidance, these nutrients may indeed play a meaningful role. I found myself thinking about people who feel overwhelmed by conflicting advice online. One day they hear about a miracle supplement, the next day they're told nothing works. The truth usually lives somewhere between extremes. Progress in health rarely comes from one dramatic intervention. It comes from consistent, informed steps repeated quietly over time. That perspective changed how I approached my own understanding of prevention. It's less about chasing promises and more about building a foundation. As the investigation continued, I felt a shift from uncertainty to clarity. The science didn't offer guarantees, but it offered direction. Protecting vision isn't about waiting until problems become severe. It's about noticing early signals and responding with care. The earlier someone understands how diabetic retinopathy develops, the more opportunities they have to preserve the gift of clear sight. And this is where the message becomes deeply human. Vision is woven into everyday moments we rarely appreciate. Reading a message from someone we love, seeing colors at sunset, recognizing a smile across a room. Small decisions about health, nutrition, and awareness can accumulate into something powerful, the ability to keep seeing those moments clearly for longer. Before we reach the end, let me share this again in a way that feels natural to where we are now. If you want a practical, simple way to learn how to maintain good vision, avoid cataracts, and understand which vitamins support eye health, we've left a resource in the first link of the description that summarizes everything in a clear and applicable way. Think of it as an extension of this journey, not a sales pitch, just a place to continue learning. Looking back, the biggest lesson I learned through Dr. Ethan Walker's perspective is that knowledge transforms fear into action. Diabetic retinopathy sounds intimidating, but understanding how it develops and what supports eye health makes the future feel less uncertain. No single nutrient is a miracle, yet together, supported by medical care and healthy habits, they can help build a stronger defense for the retina. I end this story with hope, because hope is realistic when it's grounded in understanding. Recognizing early signs, staying informed, and making small daily choices can change the trajectory of vision over time. The ability to see clearly is something we often appreciate only when it begins to fade, but awareness allows us to protect it before that happens. If this story helped you understand your vision a little better, I invite you to continue this journey with me. Subscribe to the channel so we can keep exploring these questions together, because every video is another step toward clearer understanding, better choices, and a future where more people keep seeing the world with confidence and clarity.